we're already heading into NFL Week 8, and today we're going to be doing our power rankings heading into NFL Week 8. As it goes for all these power rankings, every single week, it's very fluid. It's based on how teams are performing, how healthy they're getting, things to that nature as well. And with all that being said, let's get into these power rankings and make sure that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. But at 32, it's pretty self-explanatory. The New York Jets, they remain winless. They're 0-7. They're even having a quarterback change potentially with Tyrod Taylor replacing Justin Fields. I mean, it goes without saying the type of disarray that this team is in. So they're for sure the worst team in the NFL right now. 31, not too far behind them, is the Miami Dolphins. They look awful. Tua Tagovailoa has had 6 interceptions in the past 2 games. Yes, 6 picks. It's insane. Right now, Mike McDaniel looks like a dead man walking at the head coaching position. It's just a complete hot mess there as well, too. So it goes without saying right now that the Jets at 32, they're the worst team in the league, and the Dolphins at 31, they're close to being that bad as well, too. But going into number 30, we have the Tennessee Titans, who also aren't good at all either. They already fired their head coach, Brian Callahan. I mean, really, the 5 worst teams in the league, you could really flip them around and say who's the worst team, but of course the Jets, they don't have a win, so of course they get that. But the Titans are number 30. Cam Ward didn't look good at all in that performance against the Patriots, but just that team is not good. So it's just a hot mess there as well. And then at the 29th spot, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, who also look like they're absolute as well too. Geno Smith has just struggled this entire season. Him, like Tua Tagovailoa, they've led the league in turnovers. And also it doesn't help that Brock Bowers, second-year tight end, who's one of the best tight ends in the league, he's dealt with some injuries this year as well too. The offensive line in Las Vegas isn't great as well, so that's why we're not seeing Ashton Jeanty perform at a high level too, their rookie first-round pick from this year's draft. So yeah, it's not looking like how we potentially envision for the Raiders to be potentially improved with head coach Pete Carroll. Now going into the 28th ranked team, we have the Cleveland Browns, who got their second win of the season against the Miami Dolphins, winning 31-6. Dylan Gabriel looks solid. Quinshon Judkins, he's their best offensive playmaker this year in his rookie season. Their defense is one of the best in the league, but still ultimately I believe that Dylan Gabriel won't potentially be the answer at the quarterback position, but I could be wrong. I mean, he hasn't necessarily played awful, but it just hasn't been great. So I would say the Browns, they're for sure better than the other teams that I've listed below them, but they're still right now the 28th ranked team going into NFL Week 8. Then at 27, slightly above them, is the New Orleans Saints, who they've been up and down in terms of how they play, but ultimately most of their games have been competitive. They lost against the Bears 26-14 in Week 7, but I mean, besides this game where Spencer Rattler, I think it's been his worst performance of the season. He had 3 interceptions against the Bears. He's actually been pretty solid at the quarterback position too, and they still have weapons like Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson at the tight end position. The Saints, they're not a great team, but they're competitive, and I think they deserve some respect for that. But yeah, they're still at 27. At 26, we have the Arizona Cardinals, who lost their 5th straight game, but I have them a little bit higher only because they really could have beat the Green Bay Packers, and that's with Jacoby Brissett. And honestly, in Week 6, they almost beat the Indianapolis Colts as well too, and the Colts are 6-1. So that says a lot about them. They have a lot of competitive things about them. I believe in all their losses, they've been single score losses, and they lost to the Titans too, so that's a bad loss for them as well. But ultimately, I mean, they're on a 5-game losing streak. The Cardinals started off 2-0, and now they're 2-5. So they're still trending in the wrong direction for sure. At 25, we have the Baltimore Ravens. They were on the bye week, of course, and I know they only have 1 win. They're 1-5. But I believe with Lamar Jackson returning, whether he returns in Week 8 or Week 9, that they had the potential to at least try to get on a run to potentially be a wild card team in the AFC, or somehow, if the Steelers at some point trend in the wrong direction, try to take back the AFC North. But for me, the Ravens, they're still not a good football team right now too. The defense is very suspect. But with Lamar Jackson in the lineup whenever he does return, you always got to give them a solid chance because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And then at 24, I would have had the Giants higher for sure if they would have beat the Broncos, because I mean, they were up 19-0 in the 4th quarter, but they allowed 33 points in the 4th quarter to allow the Denver Broncos to come back and win that game in Week 7 as they lost 33-32 against the Broncos. Just a tough way to lose, but from the start of this season though, we've all lamented and saying that the Giants should be an improved football team, arguably the best defensive line in the league. Jackson Dart is playing great at the rookie position right now at quarterback. He made a couple of mistakes in that game against the Broncos, but ultimately I believe that he really put a good game on film, and that's all you can ask for your rookie first-round draft pick, who, it's not like he was a top 10 or top 5 draft pick. He was picked at the end of the 1st round too, so shout out to him, shout out to Brian Daboll, getting a good rapport with him. But ultimately, I still believe that they have a long way to go in terms of being not only a solid team, but a team that can potentially be an NFC wildcard team. Then at 23, I have the Houston Texans, and honestly, you can make the argument that the Texans should be below the Giants, or even lower than that, because they have a 2-4 record. But this Texans defense is so good. They keep their team overall in games, especially against the Seahawks. I mean, they lost a game against against the Seahawks, but they only lost by 8, 27-19. That's a testament to the defense. Look at Will Anderson Jr. getting a straight sack touchdown. The offense is just so bad, and I'm not blaming necessarily CJ Stroud for it, because I just believe the GM of the Texans, Nick Caserio, and overall the scouting department, they just struggle to find offensive line talent or depth to hit at the draft position to provide foundational offensive linemen to protect their quarterback in CJ Stroud. And you need that right now. Of course, the running game isn't necessarily the greatest. Woody Marks, the rookie, he's shown flashes, but still ultimately, I believe they're missing Joe Mixon, and he has a mystery injury, and I think it's safe to say that he's not going to play this year because there's been no talks about it, nothing like that. I mean, it's just wild what's going on with that situation. So I just believe that the Texans defense is one of the best in the league, but their offense is holding them back so much to the effect that they're the 23rd ranked team going into NFL Week 8, but then coming in right above them at 22 is the Cincinnati Bengals, who got a surprising win in Week 7 on Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Flacco was in rhythm, getting the ball to Jamar Chase, getting the ball to T. Higgins. The run game actually showed some life and a pulse, as Chase Brown had a 108-yard rushing game as well too. So that's a solid thing for them. If Joe Flacco can just hold things down while Joe Burrow is out and ultimately potentially returns in December, that would be huge for the Bengals. So right now, I think they're the 22nd ranked team going into NFL Week 8 at 21. We have the Washington Commanders, man, and it looks like Jaden Daniels is going to miss the Monday Night Football matchup against the Chiefs in Week 8 with that hamstring injury that he suffered against the Dallas Cowboys, but it doesn't look to be too severe. They're going to need him back though for sure, because they have a tough stretch, because after the game against the Chiefs, they end up playing against the Seahawks at some point, the Lions as well too. So that's a tough stretch right there for sure. And a lot of people expected regression out of the Commanders. I did as well too, but I still expected them to be a team that could potentially be 10-7 or something like that as well. But if they continue to trend down the downslope, it could be even worse than that. And especially with Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel out right now as well too, it just doesn't help. So right now they're at 21. At 20, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who were in it in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're starting Carson Wentz again this upcoming Thursday night matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers for NFL Week 8. I don't know how that's going to go, man, because it just didn't look great with Carson Wentz. I mean, he played better in the second half, but there was 2 straight possessions where he not only threw a pick 6, but then he threw just an arid interception to Andrew Mukuba, lobbing the ball up there. I mean, it just made no sense to me. The defense is one of the best in the league, but they ended up getting baked at the end by Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown in that Eagles performance. So I think the Vikings, they definitely need to get J.J. McCarthy back healthy. Ultimately, I believe that's the most ideal thing, and hopefully for them, he's able to return in Week 9. But yeah, I have them as a 20th ranked team, and then at 19, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who they've been playing solid. They beat the Bills on Monday Night Football, but the 49ers, they were able to defeat them. And the 49ers defense made the offense look very pedestrian, weren't able to really get Bijan Robinson going out of the running game. He was able to get a rushing touchdown in that matchup against the 49ers, but ultimately Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they didn't necessarily have the best games as well too. And Michael Penix Jr. still needs to show some stuff. I mean, he's had some flashes at moments too, but the consistency hasn't been there necessarily. So right now, I still believe that they're worth being at 19. They're still not one of the teams in the NFC that I would potentially view as a wild card team yet, but they can trend to that direction if they continue to run the offense through Bijan and play great complementary football. Coming in at the 18th spot, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I thought they would have had a more competitive performance against the Los Angeles Rams. In that London game for NFL Week 7, they just got blown out from the jump. Trevor Lawrence was sacked first play of the game. The score was 21-0 at halftime. They really just got a garbage time touchdown with Travis Hunter in the second half. It just was awful for them. It looked like a struggle, and Trevor Lawrence is still showing a lot of inconsistency, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but more so downs than ups, and that's really the biggest thing. The Jaguars defense has been great for this season, mostly, but in that matchup against the Rams, though, they were absolutely baked. Matthew Stafford was spreading the ball around, dealing, had 5 passing touchdowns. Devontae Adams had 3 receiving touchdowns on them. And that was without Puka Nacua playing as well, too. So that's an indictment on the Jaguars defense and team overall. That was not a great performance. And they've lost 2 straight games after defeating the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. So they need to get things right for them for sure, because they have a 4-3 record. They're over 500 right now, too. But a lot of people are not believing in them in the AFC. And I'm not going to lie, I can't blame them. But coming in at 17, we have the Dallas Cowboys. And I believe that this team potentially has the chance to get even higher in the weeks to come. And right now I have them there just because of their defense, but their defense did look better against the Washington Commanders, although of course Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin didn't play, but they were able to make plays when they needed to. And the biggest reason why the Dallas Cowboys are at 17 is because of that offense, man. Dak Prescott playing at an MVP level, CeeDee Lamb fitting right back in, having a 5-reception, 110-yard receiving game with a touchdown in that matchup against the Commanders, and George Pickens just being the great threat and boost that he's been to this offense. They arguably have the best wide receiver duo in the league. I know about Jamar Chase. I know about T. Higgins. Like I said, the Dallas Cowboys arguably have the best duo, and Jake Ferguson playing at a high level, Javonte Williams running the ball at a high level too. Their offensive line is playing very efficiently and playing cohesively together, very synchronized as well. They look great. Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, is doing an amazing job too. And their defense, they can just continue to be steady, be solid. DeMarvion Overshown is returning too. Their rookie cornerback Shavon Revel is going to make his debut soon as well too. And there's been rumors potentially about them making a trade move. I'm not going to necessarily buy too much into that. It has to actually be officially reported for me to actually say something about them. But the Dallas Cowboys, they can just play complementary football and their offense continue to be explosive. They'll be a team that's in the playoffs for sure. And I've been saying that this is a potential 10 to 11 win team. And this matchup that they have in NFL Week 8 against the Denver Broncos is going to be really good. I believe the Cowboys haven't beat the Broncos since 1995. They won that game because obviously the Broncos, I mean, they're a good team, but they're not unbeatable for sure. We just saw the Giants almost beat them. But I believe that if the Cowboys can get on a little streak right here, be 5-3-1 going into their bye week, that'll be a good sign for them for sure. So right now I have them at the 17th spot. At 16, though, we have the Carolina Panthers, who beat the Dallas Cowboys in NFL Week 6. It would have been unjustifiable for me to put the Cowboys over the Panthers because, I mean, like I said, the Panthers just beat them. And the Panthers are surprising a lot of people this year. I know they played against the Jets in Week 7, so no one's surprised how they won that game, even though it was kind of close. But ultimately, they still won the game. Bryce Young might be injured for NFL Week 8, so Andy Dalton might have to start. But regardless of that, though, I mean, their defense is playing at a high level. Rico Dowdle is running the ball well. Chuba Hubbard returning an NFL Week 7 performance as well, too. So, hey, watch out for the Panthers. I don't necessarily think that they're going to make the playoffs. Reality might strike a little bit, but hey, I can be wrong. They're looking really competitive right now, too, and they're a team in a NFC South who already blew out the Falcons 30-0. It'll be interesting to see how they match up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I believe the Bucs are going to win the division again. But with that being said, though, the Panthers, they've earned a lot of respect. They are for sure improved. That goes without saying. But at 15, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 4-3 right now. I still believe they have the potential to be an AFC wildcard team, similarly to last year, too, but they haven't looked great the past few weeks, man. And that Colts game, it was a reality wake up in terms of how they shape up against potential AFC contenders, especially with the Colts, who are one of the best teams in the league right now, and that's a fact. The Chargers have been injured too as well too. Obviously, Omarion Hampton is still on injured reserve, and Najee Harris out for the season. Quentin Johnson, he played in this game like McConkey did as well too. Aronde Gaskin had a really good game, and so did Keenan Allen against the Colts as well too. But for me, though, they just need to get back into their identity of running the football. I know they don't have Omarion Hampton right now, too, so you don't want to put too much stress on Justin Herbert. I know he has to throw the ball a little bit more right now, too, but still having that balance because they started to become a little bit one-dimensional. That's why you've seen Justin Herbert really turn over the ball more, but I still have them at the 15th ranked team right now going into NFL Week 8. At 14, we have the Chicago Bears, who are on a 4-game winning streak after starting off 0-2. They're now 4-2, and Caleb Williams, I mean, he hasn't necessarily looked the best the past couple of weeks, but I think that defense is the biggest difference for the Bears right now. I mean, they turned over Spencer Rattler 3 times in that Saints matchup in Week 7. And then also with that, they're running the ball at a high clip as well, too. DeAndre Swift having a second straight 100-yard rushing game as well, too. This love what Ben Johnson has really brought to the Bears team. Just really changing the culture and having them play at a high level. And it's showcasing in full effect for sure. And they're going to be a team that's certainly in the mix to try to make the playoffs in the NFC. And then right above them, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost a bad game against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're still number 1 in the AFC North, though, so that's positive for them. They have a really intriguing matchup, a reunion of a matchup between Aaron Rodgers facing the Green Bay Packers in Week 8 on Sunday Night Football, so I'm intrigued to see that one for sure. That's going to be a pivotal game as well because you don't want to find yourself losing that game too, because that's another game potentially for Baltimore to try to catch up. And then when we're at close to the end of the season, it'll be a race to see who wins the AFC North. So the Steelers, they have the opportunity right now to still put this division away while they can. And I believe Aaron Rodgers, I mean, regardless, I know he had a couple of interceptions, some bad breaks, but I still think that he's playing really good for them this year overall in its totality. So the Steelers, they're still one of the better teams in the AFC for sure, I would say. And then at number 12, we have the Denver Broncos. Like I mentioned, they almost lost to the Giants, but ultimately they found the way to win. Their offense, especially with Bo Nixon at the fourth quarter, they absolutely exploded and they looked great. You just want to see more of that consistency with them. Sometimes it looks like Sean Payton and the offense overall is hesitant to push the football downfield, but they had to get back into that game. So that was the biggest thing there. Their defense is one of the best in the league, but like I said, they didn't play good against the Giants, and they have a great test, like I mentioned, in Week 8. They play against the Dallas Cowboys, so we're going to see where they're really at for sure, especially from their defensive perspective. Their offense should hopefully thrive for them, but I don't know. The Cowboys' defense is getting better, so we'll see. I don't know, but that's going to be a really great matchup. The Broncos, though, they're, like I said, one of the better teams in the AFC. The Bills are trying to win the AFC East for winning their 10th straight AFC West title in the division, and Broncos are 5-2 right now, the 12th ranked team going into NFL Week 8. But right above them at number 11, we have the Buffalo Bills, who I think they'll continue to elevate. I really believe the 2 losses that they had before their bye week, because of course they didn't play in Week 7, the loss against the Patriots in division, and then also that loss on the Falcons, really probably humbled them, and it was a perfect time for them to have a bye week to really self-scout and revitalize themselves and see where they're at and try to get back in rhythm, because right now the Patriots are the number 1 team in the AFC East and 6th consecutive season. And the Patriots, they aren't going to try to let that go. They've already beat them in Buffalo. They have to play against them again down the line in Foxborough. So Yeah, the Bills, though, I mean, we know that they have Josh Allen, who's arguably the best, for sure, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He just won the MVP last year. But at times, their defense, especially trying to stop the run, has looked very suspect. So they need to get that right for sure. But I still believe that the Bills are near being a top 10 team, just not in the top 10, though. And at number 10, we have those New England Patriots who are above them in the AFC East. Drake May is playing at a high level right now. They have one of the best offenses in the league. He's playing great. Ramondre Stevenson in the running game is playing solid too. Travion Henderson in doses as well. But also that defense is played at a great level too, which has really been very opportunistic, and overall the team is playing great on both sides of the field, and you're seeing as a result they're a 5-2 football team right now, and very much in the mix of the AFC being one of the best teams in the league. And it is by no mistake or accident, as Mike Vrabel has really transformed the psyche of this New England Patriots team. But then getting into the top 10 even more, we have at number 9 the San Francisco 49ers, who got a great Sunday Night Football win over the Atlanta Falcons. And regardless of the injuries, Fred Warner being out for the season, Nick Bosa being out for the season, the injuries at wide receiver, the injuries at quarterback with Brock Purdy, as Mac Jones has really played solid, honestly, stepping in there. They found ways to win. Robert Saleh doing great at the defensive coordinator position, and Kyle Shanahan, the head coach and also play caller, just doing great for this team. Despite all the adversity that they're facing, they're still finding ways to win. So that's a great thing for them. They're in a very tough division in the NFC West, where they have 3 teams who are 5-2, along with the 49ers that are 5-2, the Rams, and the Seahawks, who are also in this top 10 as well. It's a crazy loaded division. I think ultimately, though, down the line, we'll see these teams in that division specifically beat up on each other, and ultimately it'll end up being either 1 or 2 teams that make the playoffs from the NFC West. But with that being said, the 49ers, they are playing really good football right now, and they're at number 9. At number 8, heading into NFL Week 8, we have the Green Bay Packers. And, I mean, I guess you can make the argument they should be a little bit lower, but to me, it's probably right on track. Micah Parsons having a 3-sack game against the Arizona Cardinals. That Cardinals game was probably too close for comfort, ultimately. That's why I say that maybe you could argue for them being a little bit lower, but I still believe the offense, I mean, they're playing solid, but they still haven't reached their stride yet, and that's the great thing about the Packers, because they're still 4-1-1, and they still haven't even looked their best offensively as well yet. Christian Watson is still injured. They're waiting for Jaden Reed to be back, so they still have reinforcements on the way from an offensive perspective. Their defense is still one of the best in the league. I just still believe that earlier in the season it was still premature for everyone to be saying that this is the Super Bowl favorite, that they are juggernauts and things of that nature as well too, but they're definitely in the mix of being one of the best teams in the NFC and NFL overall. And then at number 7, we have the Seattle Seahawks. I struggled to put them potentially in the top 5, but I just believe there's a couple of teams that's right now, at the recording of this video, a little bit better, but ultimately they're trending in the right direction. Their defense playing great. Jackson Smith and Jigba having the best wide receiver season of the year so far, leading the league in receiving yards. Sam Darnold is playing potent and well within the offense, and their defense is one of the best in the league as well too. So their head coach, Mike Macdonald, has been playing at a great level in his 2nd season. Just love what the Seattle Seahawks are doing right now, and they're one of the best teams in the league for sure, also in that crowded NFC West. So I'm intrigued to see how they trend and go throughout the rest of the year, especially in that division in NFC West. And then right before we get into the top 5, at number 6, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who took a tough loss on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Another tough loss for them within that game is losing Mike Evans, who returned in that game, not losing him out for the season with a broken collarbone / clavicle, and he had a concussion in that game too. Just an insult to injury for sure, or injury to insult, whatever way you want to say it. But this is why they drafted Emeka Egbuka. I mean, the tide was already turning to him potentially being a wide receiver 1 in this time. They have a lot of weapons by committee for sure alongside with him. Hopefully they get Chris Godwin back as well too, but they still have K-Dot at the tight end position. They're waiting for Bucky Irvin at the running back position to return as well too. Tez Johnson, their rookie, has stepped up as well in moments too. Sterling Shepard, Baker Mayfield still playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league too. I believe that the Bucs still have one of the best teams in the NFL overall, and it was a tough loss for them, but they have a 5-2 record still. So ultimately, I think they'll be perfectly fine, and they have one of the best defenses in the league as well too. But now getting into the top 5, we have the Los Angeles Rams. As I mentioned earlier, they had a dominant win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, winning 35-7 in Week 7, and that was without Puka Nacua, and now they're going into their bye week, and they'll be able to get more healthy and potentially get him back in Week 9. Just love how they're playing. Matthew Stafford is playing great despite him being 37 years old. He's playing efficient. Still one of the best quarterbacks in the league for sure. Sean McVay has his team playing at a high level, and I just love what they're doing, and also having one of the best defensive lines in the league. Just a lot of weapons on their offense and defense collectively, and they're playing at a high level on both sides of the football. At number 4, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and they please a lot of fans or NFL enthusiasts by the style that they played against the Vikings in Week 7, as Jalen Hurts had his first 300-yard game since 2024, and Devontae Smith had an explosive game, and so did A.J. Brown. They were really explosive in the passing game, and they were able to show people that they can win in multiple ways. And I think we've already known that. It's just people have been disappointed with the fashion that they play or whatever, but it doesn't matter. They're still winning games. They're 5-2 after having that little 2-game skid, and I believe they're still one of the best teams in the NFL, and that's why they're coming in at number 4. But they're not number 3, though, as at number 3, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Shocking a lot of people. I honestly debated having them at the number 1 spot, but I don't think I can put them there yet. but they're playing great right now. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, just insane. Potential offensive player of the year candidate. Tyler Warren playing great as an offensive rookie that he is, having potentially a Pro Bowl type year as a rookie as well too. Shane Steichen, arguably coach of the year right now too. I mean, the Colts have just been the surprise team of the year, and they're playing at a great level on both sides of the football. Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, has them playing up. DeForest Buckner had a good game in that Week 7 matchup against the Chargers. The Colts just look amazing right now, and I think they're for sure going to win the AFC South, and ultimately they're going to be one of the top seeds in the AFC for sure. But they're not top 2 though, as at the number 2 spot I have the Detroit Lions, and I had to put the Lions right here because, well, they didn't beat the team that's at number 1, and you probably can guess who that is, but the Lions, they dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Monday Night Football matchup. I mean, it's not like they blew them out by 20, but still they controlled all phases of the game for both halves, and I love how the Lions are trending right now too and playing at a high level, even without players in the secondary playing in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup. Terrion Arnold didn't play, Brian Branch didn't play in that game either, and Kirby Joseph didn't, but overall, Kelvin Shepard, their defensive coordinator, has that defense playing wild and playing with a lot of energy. Dan Campbell, their head coach, of course, he's going to have them doing that, and the offense is still one of the best in the league as well, too. So the Lions are the second best team in the league, but they're not number 1 as the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I know they have a 4-3 record, but they just had Rashee Rice return. I think they're about to really hit their stride and get on a potential winning streak. They're the best team in the NFL right now, but I do say that as I continue to remain consistent with my perspective, saying that there's no definitive dominant team in the NFL right now because the league is as wide open as it's ever been in the NFL for this 2025 NFL season so far. But the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes still playing at a high level, they're the number 1 ranked team going into NFL Week 8. But that's my opinion going into NFL Week 8 for these power rankings. Here's a full list right here. Y'all let me know if y'all agree in the comments down below. A lot more heat on the way, guys. Like I say every single week, stay tuned for my NFL weekly recaps and also with these power ranking videos heading into every NFL week. So y'all stay tuned for sure. But a lot more videos on the way also with NBA content being back. The NBA is back, yes sir. I know y'all saw those opening night game matchups between the Rockets and the Thunder, which went to double overtime, and also the Warriors and Lakers matchup too. So like I said, stay tuned for all types of videos, guys. But y'all keep being blessed, keep Jesus Christ at the center of your lives always, and make sure that y'all hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Love you guys, keep being blessed, keep being legendary, and y'all have a good one. Peace.